learned about value, and we are going to create a value example in Adobe Illustrator using the gradient tool. So once you open Adobe Illustrator, I want you to go to File, New, or you can use Create New on the front of your page. I want you to choose Print for this document. Change the untitled part, the name of it, to your first name, underscore value. Let's change the points to inches just so we know what we're seeing. And 8.5 by 11 is what we're going to go with today, but we're going to change it to the landscape orientation. Then choose Create. Now that we have our artboard created, we're going to go to our Shape tool. So we've already learned how to use our Shape tool. We're going to use a rectangle, and we're going to click and drag a rectangle. So this rectangle already had set up a white fill and a black stroke. So let's click on the stroke box to bring that up forward, and we're going to say no stroke. So we do not want a stroke on this. Now we're going to click back on the fill box so that it is on top, and we're going to find our gradient window. So over here on my sidebar, I have the gradient right here. If you do not see the gradient, you can always go to Window and Gradient and open up the window and the gradient window. Now that we have the gradient window open, I'm going to go ahead and click on the gradient slider. This will put our gradient in the box that was already selected. We have a lot of fun tools that we can do with a gradient, and we'll learn more about that later, but let me show you a few. So right now, with the default, we have the linear gradient. We can choose the radial gradient, or we can also choose the freeform gradient, which is a lot of fun, and you have a lot of flexibility with the freeform gradient. But let's go back to the linear for this project. Now let's look at the slider bar. So on the gradient slider, on the top, we can choose to move our white. We can slide our white to where it goes all the way over. We can move it back. We can move our dark over. So we can change that transition from a smooth transition to a harsher transition. We can even use this little diamond on the top to control that transition as well. So we have a lot of flexibility with our gradient tool. But for now, let's go ahead and just put it back to the original. So we've got our black all the way to the right. We have our white all the way to the left. And let's move our diamond to about in the center. So for this project, I do want to change the direction of this gradient. So let's go to the angle and let's put in 90. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go to our selection tool on the top left of our toolbar. And with this box selected, we're going to copy it. So Control C or Command C, and then Control or Command V. So we have a copy. So this copy, we're going to go ahead and make this our background. So I'm going to drag it to the top corner, and then I'm going to drag the bottom down to fill our artboard. So here's the background of our project, but it is on top of our other box. So let's go ahead and go to Object, Arrange, and let's send this background to the back. As you notice, we have both the gradients going in the same direction. So for our example, we have them going in opposite directions. So let's click back on here with our selection tool. We're going to select that box again, and we're going to go to Object, Transform, Reflect, and we're going to reflect it horizontally. So I have the preview button selected, so you notice it already shows me what's going to happen with this choice. And I'm going to say OK. So now that we have that reflection changed, I'm going to make 4 boxes. So once again, Control or Command C, and then just simply Control or Command V, and I'm going to add another box. Now that I have this box added, I'm going to move it, and you can see the magenta lines are helping me center it with the other box. Now I'm going to do Command or Control V again to get another box. And as I move this, now you can see that magenta line centering it with the other box as well. And one more time, we're going to add the fourth box and we're going to add that to it. We've got the magenta lines aligning them up really nicely. And so now the alignment isn't quite perfect. We've got it's closer over here than over here. So I'm going to select all four of these boxes. So once again, make sure you have your selection tool still selected. I'm going to hold down Shift on my keyboard and select each one of these boxes. Now that I have all four selected, I can move them all around together if I want, but I can also go to the alignment window, which if we look over in our properties panel, we have the alignment window right here. We can also, if you do not see it, you can go to Window and then Align, and you can open that window as well. But let's go to our Properties panel, and here we go. We can have a lot of options to align. So we can align it horizontally to the left, we can align it horizontally in the center, we can do vertically on the top. We've got, we can distribute the objects. So let's go ahead and let's align them all to the top so that they're all on the straight line. And then let's horizontally distribute them as well. Now I'm going to just simply drag those to the center and I'm going to resize them and center them once again. So now that our project is done, our value project is done, we're going to save it. So we're going to go to File, Save As, and first of all, let's make sure we save it as an Illustrator format so that if we need to edit or change something later on, we could do that. I really want you to be saving it to your OneDrive option over here. The option is not available for me on my Mac, so I'm going to save it to my hard drive, which I've already have open up. So I've got my hard drive here and the folders down to the value folder. So I'm going to go to Adobe Illustrator and save. I already have it saved, so I'll go ahead and replace it with this option. We're going to keep the default options and say OK. Now let's go and save it to be able to turn it into Teams. So File, Export, Export As. We still have our name. We still have it in the same place. Just always double check that you have it where you want it. Now the format, we are going to choose a JPEG. And I want you to choose Use the Artboard. So this will allow it to save the entire artboard. And we are going to export. Once our option window pops up, I want you to change the quality to 10 and the resolution to 150 medium. Say OK. I'm replacing the one I've already saved. Once that's saved, then you're going to open Teams. You're going to go to the class notebook and open the navigation panel. I'm going to go to Content Library, my folder for the example, but you're going to go to your name and then you're going to open your classwork folder. In the classwork folder, you're going to click on the last page that you've submitted and add a new page. This one you are going to name Value. Click into the value page and make sure your cursor is showing. Then go to Insert, Picture, from File, choose where you put it. So you should be able to go once again to your OneDrive to find it. I'm going to go to my hard drive and get to where I have it saved. There we are. And value and my JPEG. Open and insert. So that is your assignment for today. I hope you have a wonderful day and I will see you next time.